I made a Roller Champions magazine called Jammer, and I wanted to talk about the how and the why a little bit, as well as allow my friend Josh, aka HaileyMule, to break down how he made the track Fantasy, which was made for Jammer specifically. That's so cool to say. So I didn't want to be super strict with this project going into it, but I did have at least a few boxes I wanted to check. So box number 1, the spirit of not being super strict, was just to have fun. It sounds a little funny, but I live with a lot of self-doubt and fear that what I'm making isn't good enough. So I basically just told myself to chill out sometimes. It's remarkable how much it helps. Number 2, and this is more in line with the actual magazine itself, was to make it community focused. I really wanted to highlight players and creators and tournament organizers and the events that, you know, come and go with RC, because one of my favorite parts about this game is being a part of the community, and so I wanted to give it a little spotlight. Number 3 was to make it interactive. One of the cool parts of an actual magazine is being able to hold it and actually flip through the pages. I wanted to make sure I could mimic that the best I could, and I figured that out, so stick around to find out how. Number 4 was make it cool, man. I wanted it to have style. I really love old skating magazines, and I adore like their chaotic, grungy punk style that a lot of them have, and it's super in line with the style that I already like to work with, and so that's what I did with it. Now, kicking off actually putting the magazine together, the first thing I did was find a name for it, because I felt like that was kind of important. I had to have a name in order to make a logo. Because the game is inspired by roller derby, I wanted to be inspired by roller derby, so I looked up roller derby terms, and the term I landed on was jammer. I want to say some kind of cool reason, like, oh my god, jammer scores all the points. They're kind of like the star of the show in a way. Oh my god, it's so appropriate for the magazine. I just liked how it looked and sounded. That was like the primary reason. Now, I knew that I wanted this logo to be like hand-drawn, and I did not want it to be super like well thought out or planned, so I just started scribbling, and I had exactly 2 versions. I had a little curvy one and a more blocky one, and I went with the blocky one because I liked it a little bit more. The fact that it's not perfect was perfect for this. Now, I knew that I wanted the cover to have the person that was being interviewed for the magazine on it, so because Razzie was that person, I got some screenshots of his character in various poses provided to me. I used that as kind of like the centerpiece, and I worked around that, and I'm really happy with how it turned out, especially because once it was done, it gave me like a really good idea for what I wanted to see when I actually opened the magazine. Now, just as like a side note, everything that I made, everything that I designed, I used so much inspiration from Pinterest. And if you don't use Pinterest, dude, you need to. You pin like 1 or 2 things and they know you as a person. It's crazy. Pinterest is cool. This sounds like an ad. It's not. I just like Pinterest. Dude, I lost where I was. I started talking about Pinterest and I don't know where I am now. Oh, make it interactive. Okay, there we go. That part. Originally, I actually just started designing it to look like it was an open magazine because I had no clue how to do anything else. But I thought it would be really cool to like host it on a website. And so I found one called Hey Zine that I ended up using, and it ended up being perfect. It was super easy to use. And this is also not an ad. But if you ever want to make a digital flipbook, dude, that's a good place to do it. So it also allowed for music to be uploaded, which was perfect because I was going to have music. And speaking of the music, here is Josh to talk about how he made it.
What's up, guys? My name's HaileyMule, and today I'm going to be breaking down the track Fantasy that I produced for Jammer Magazine Volume 1. When I first initially got interested in the project, I had no idea what I wanted to do with it sonically, but I knew that I wanted to follow that 90s in-your-face sort of energy. I sort of scrounged through my samples and found this cymatic sample. So the sample itself is super cool, but I thought, well, I want to chop it up. Sort of the staccato energy to it. So underneath that sample, alongside it, is another sample that I actually originally don't know where it comes from, but most of my samples that I get come from a program called SoulSeek, or just through random files that friends send me. And I found this one through SoulSeek and I thought it sounded great, so I chopped this one up too. Mess with the transients down here. After that, I started messing with drums. Same thing again, SoulSeek. A lot of my samples come from there, usually just from me typing in random phrases like drums or food or dirt. And sometimes you have no idea what's going to come up. So I think I typed in drum breaks and just sort of went through the random lists and found this drum loop. And you can see here at the beginning, I actually cut certain bits and then just decided not to continue to do that, which is, I guess it's just unrecognizable. Underneath that, I think, if I'm not mistaken, this is a loop from, I think it's a count loop, which I also chopped up a little at the beginning and then just let it ride because I had already gone ahead and cut the transients down, so that's a little tighter. And I think if you listen to it right here, you can actually hear I think it's saying the sample labs. I think this is probably like an unpurchased sample that someone just threw on SoulSeek. But I guess you wouldn't be able to recognize that in the song. But so that's the drums for the most part. So let's bring it down to the effects. Okay, so in the intro, this effect plays, this sort of guitar swell. And throughout the song, it comes back in different iterations. That was just me playing on my electric guitar and sliding up and down. I think the bottom G string, I have it ran through this guitar rig 6 set that's got, you know, phasers. I don't think it's phasers. I think it's delays, a bunch of delays and whatnot. So this very sort of futuristic sound I thought was really, really neat. And I think what brings the entire track all together is the bass. It was a Diva patch. I can open up that here. So nothing too crazy, a pretty simple bass. I wanted some low end on it, so underneath that is a more subby bass. So if I go ahead and start to stack these elements on top of each other, the swells and the effects and the drums. So that's the majority of the beat. That's the base of the beat. And on top of all that is the Uzi Vert vocal. Super good. But I think the thing that pulls all of it together, and again, this sample, the majority of my samples come from SoulSeek. They're just random gets. I equate it to running through a bin of random Legos from sets that are completely different from each other and trying to make them work. But I got this sample right here. And essentially that is just the sample. I mean, there's not much else done to it. I think I might have changed the pitch 3 steps down, threw an EQ on it to sort of get rid of that low end and some of the high end ahas, you know, to give it a little bit of space. So without all of those, and if I were to take it off. And I thought that sample was just beautiful. I thought it was so cool and matched the energy completely. It's such a great sample. Immediately following that is the in-between sort of bridge break. And so that plays underneath these chords. I am still learning how to play piano. I wouldn't even say I'm good, but I oftentimes use ripcord for jazz chords and progressions that I really can't write myself, or I just don't have the knowledge to write myself. So ran this through Diva, and it's just a pretty basic chord progression. And I guess I'll go back very quickly to share one moment that I think is really great. I got really stumped at the part right here. And I thought that was cool. I thought like his syncopation and like just the way that he was doing it was really great. So having the drums come back in that moment and having it be on beat with what he was saying was really strong. But I felt like it needed something else. So I racked my brain for a while and was like, I think it'd be really cool if I did something along the lines of like what Tyler Creator did with Igor, and a lot of Igor, he's breathing through it. I think it sounds sick, so I was just messing around and I thought, well, I think if I breathe on time with the beat. And I think that came out really well. I feel like as a producer, I make a habit of squeezing as much as I can out of a sound and using that and utilizing that. For this break leading into the first usage of that soul sample, I automate a delay on the drum. And it's nothing more than using a delay and automating it on the same drums I've been playing throughout the entire song that give it a different feel. There you go. That is the beat breakdown of Fantasy. I want to give a huge shout out to the Roller Champions community for being so incredibly kind and having such warm reception to this project that Riley has put so much love and energy into. It's an incredible opportunity. You guys have been incredibly sweet. I cannot wait to share more. If you're interested in what I work on, you have any interest in my music, I will leave a link to the SoundCloud where I post infrequently and a link to my coffee if you'd like to donate to what I do. So appreciate it. Thank you guys so much. Hope everyone has a great day.
Because I'm recording this before I even know what he said, I don't have like a reaction for it. But thank you, Josh. I really wish that I had like some sped up footage of me working on the pages and stuff, but I was kind of all over the place, so I didn't really record myself making these pages. But I used a lot of grain, a lot of threshold, a lot of layering textures on top of each other. I used the same 3 fonts throughout the entire thing. And that's kind of it. That's the process. I was super ambitious about the release of RC, and I had a lot of ideas. A lot of them didn't feel either genuine enough, or I just wasn't as excited to work on them. But this is the first RC project that I worked on that I was like super hyped about. If you haven't read it, the link for it will be in the description. If you haven't listened to the song, it'll play when you read it, or you can just go to SoundCloud and listen to it. Anyways, that's it, really. I don't know what else to say or to talk about. I hope this gave you a little bit of insight on my brain and why I did what I did. All right. Later, cowboy.